Welcome to the TrustedBridge Capital monthly video series entitled Asking for a Friend. I'm your host, Eric Jefferson, and for today's call, we're going to focus on artificial intelligence. That's a theme that has gotten a lot of traction in the headlines as of late. Going to discuss a little bit, and not only what it is, but go through some of the investment implications that we've seen play out thus far, 6 months into 2023. Before we get started, have a few quick words from our legal team. With that, we can go ahead. So I want to start by defining what is AI. And interestingly enough, the language up on your screen was generated from OpenAI. That is one of the leading tools out there. And that tool defines its own existence as a computer system that can perform tasks typically requiring human intelligence. It goes on to state has numerous real-world applications across a wide variety of industries. It can be used to help automate processes, analyze large quantities of information, make predictions, improve decision-making. Ultimately, the end of the day, the goal for its users to enhance their overall efficiency and productivity. Now, anytime there's a new technique or process that a company can incorporate to increase its productivity, that has a positive impact on a company's bottom line, and naturally Wall Street tends to pay attention. We saw, or heard rather, a record number of references to AI from corporate executives in this most recent earnings season, discussing and sharing their enthusiasm for what AI would mean for their businesses going forward. Up on the screen here, you see the largest companies in the U.S. ranked by size. Not surprisingly, heavily concentrated in the technology world in one way, shape, or form, directly tied into all things AI. One particularly interesting story, NVIDIA, that is actually the best performing stock year to date, up roughly 160%. This is a company that manufactures the computer chips needed to operate these systems. Especially impressive performance when we consider this is a company of 26,000 people. In contrast, Amazon is only 25% bigger, but has 59 times the number of employees. Now, I share all of this when we think about the impact that AI allegedly will have on productivity, on corporate America, and on underlying profits. Certainly, it would be reasonable to expect that the companies most directly tied to AI would stand to benefit the most. We see that reflected in the middle column there. Those tech companies directly involved, on average, up 72% on a year-to-date basis. Interestingly enough, though, the perceived benefit to be gained from AI hasn't necessarily made its way to the rest of the universe. As we can see, those companies on average up 72%. They've propelled the S&P 500 index, which is market cap weighted, or in essence means it takes more of the performance of larger companies into consideration. The performance of those large companies that has been truly stellar has driven the index nearly 10% higher. But interestingly enough, the average company in the S&P 500 actually negative on the year. If you strip out the performance of those mega cap tech companies, the average stock now sharply lower. And interestingly enough, again, for all of the enthusiasm, for all of the excitement that has driven a lot of these technology companies higher, interestingly enough, that excitement, that enthusiasm for everything AI will be able to do, well, that's clearly been reflected in the stock prices of those companies. Haven't seen that impact take shape or positively benefit the rest of the universe, which in theory it is designed to do. Now, obviously, we are in somewhat of a wait and see as companies in different sectors incorporate this technology to ultimately improve their bottom line. But very interesting in a time where markets face a lot of challenges with respect to the economy, with respect to higher interest rates. It is a select few technology companies that have really adopted this theme and enthusiasm of AI that have led the market higher, where underneath the surface, actual experience of corporate America maybe not as rosy. Again, time will certainly tell what impact AI will have on these other companies, but thus far, the midpoint of trading through 2023, that benefit appears to be concentrated just those names involved in the actual production. That's all for this week. As always, thank you for your time and encourage you to submit any questions or topics for future consideration. Thanks again.